Here's the issue, Mark. You and I are aging, and that it's hard to stop that.
Nope,
you know
it's
what I mean?
problematic.
So we can't do the things like we used to do, which is like, stay up late at the bar, then go get a burrito, and then wake up 4 hours later, and everything's fine. We need something. How about this, Mark? How about what I've been using? Terra Origin. Because adulthood, it's hitting hard. We're dealing with it. Middle-aged guys. My knees hurt. I hurt my wrist the other day. I punched a door. Shouldn't have done that. And now my wrist hurts. This is stuff that wasn't happening when I was young. So this is where Terra Origin comes in. Are you curious why I punched the door?
Yeah, I was going to say that's a different conversation, but if you've got Terra Origin, I'm sure that you're going to be able to get your way out of that mess.
Aaron Judge grounded into a double play. Anyway, Terra Origin makes science-backed, clean supplements designed to help men perform better, recover faster, and feel good every single day. They make smart, no BS supplements that actually help you feel human again, and that's why. This is the product that you need. The best part about Terra Origin, no fluff, no fads, just premium, transparent formulas you can trust. It's like upgrading your daily routine from survive to thrive. So whether you're lifting, leading, grinding, or parenting, Terra Origin helps you show up at your best. Visit TerraOrigin.com and use the code PODCAST for 30% off your first order and free shipping. That's TerraOrigin.com. Terra Origin. Feel better from the inside out.
Here for the Lowe's early Black Friday deals? You're right on time for some of our biggest savings. We're talking up to 50% off select major appliances, plus up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Holiday lights going up soon? Select ladders are up to 50% off right now. Get Black Friday prices without the Black Friday crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 11/19. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Oh, Cessy, we hoped that Week 11 was going to be a great Sunday of football. It turned out to be even better.
Best week of the season yet? I think it might have been.
Ooh, you decide for yourself when we break down every game in the day that was. Time to heed the call. Hey, welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. The Week 11 recap, the flagship show, often imitated, never duplicated. Dan Hanzus here with Marc Sessler, Conor Orr, Justin Graver on the ones and twos. And man, do we have a lot to get to today, Mark.
We do. I don't think you can imitate what we're about to do because it's a rich, dense, beautiful Sunday of football that I believe only the four of us can handle verbally.
Well said. Conor, do you feel equally confident that on what was the best Sunday of the NFL season that we'll be ready to handle the opportunity and responsibility, quite frankly, that sits in front of us?
Yeah, it really was like the best season, the best Sunday of NFL football so far. My wife always says everything's coming up Conor, and everything has come up Conor today, including all of these games. So I'm ready.
I like that.
Not
Your
everything.
wife believes that. That's interesting.
Not everything, Dan. We'll get to that then.
Oh, we will. Not everything. This is my final show taping from this beautiful subletted loft in New York City. So if you hear, honking taxi cabs or, hey, I'm walking over here. Or, hey, how about a pizza? It's because I'm in the Big Apple.
Sure.
Remember that. Okay, cool. All right.
When does this woman arrive home? Like
no one knows.
Okay.
I did wonder
No
if
one
she
knows.
was behind the fireplace at some point, just bricked in there,
Or come down it, sure.
Yeah.
Bricked in the fireplace?
Yeah, like the thought was
Cask
like
of Amontillado.
yeah, like maybe it's not. Yeah, Mark and I were reading Cask of Amontillado. We were talking about it the other day, so that started rolling the idea. But then also, like, if it was sort of a stage thing, like maybe she absconded and left another dead body in her place, like in a closet somewhere. Like, have you checked all the doors?
I mean, I don't know, but I quite frankly, we could pivot the entire brand to remember when they did that podcast, Finding Richard Simmons, and he was just like in a house, it turned out, just retired.
Right.
Like finding
Ripping.
Claire Jacobson or whoever this woman is. I don't know. Anyway, we have way too much to get to. So we got to be focused. We're an NFL podcast covering week 11, the flagship show. And let's start where we must start. Sunday Night Football, a huge matchup of two Super Bowl hopefuls. One looked a lot better than the other. Oh, yes. Listen to this. Wow. I don't know about this one, Justin, but it's saucy. The Detroit Lions headed to cold, windy Philadelphia, looking to make a statement, looking to solidify themselves as a favorite in the NFC, or one of the favorites against the defending champions. But it was the Eagles that instead came out looking like they are ready to finally make a real run at defending this title. Final score, Eagles 16, Lions 9. A tour de force, quite frankly, by the Eagles on defense. Really all around. Let me get into it this way, Sessy. You had enough of that song, Justin. Thank you very much. Never again. Never again.
Speaking of Richard Simmons.
Yeah. This went to the oldies. You had... Jalen Carter. Let me count the ways in how the Eagles just dominated this game. You had Jalen Carter, Jalen Phillips, and friends destroying the Detroit pass protection, making Jared Goff look like a prisoner in a Saw film. You had Jalen Hurts making plays with his legs. You had Jordan Mailata making Aiden Hutchinson disappear. You had Quinyon Mitchell and Adoree Jackson erasing Amon-Ra St. Brown. You had Jake Elliott even perfect on the field goals and swirling wins. You had special teams snuffing out a 4th and short attempt. You had everything you could ask for from the Eagles, but especially the execution of the defense, which was just dominant against a high-power Lions offense.
It was kind of just a brand, a beautiful ad sales for what the Eagles defense has become, and they're better than somehow last year's defense. And I mean, everything the Lions want to throw at you, which is we're going to, under Dan Campbell, aggressively go for it on 4th down and put that pressure on you. And we're going to be as aggressive and free-spirited as any offense in the league under Dan Campbell. And you shut them down 5 times. 5 times, 5 drives
6.
end in downs.
6.
That's wild. I mean, it's just like you took everything we know about Detroit and everything we know about Philadelphia's defense, and they clashed, and it was kind of a wild watch. And I just think like something about the way that the puzzle pieces of this defense right now fit together, with Jordan Davis doing what he's doing. Michael Carter brought in at the trade deadline to be used on 4th down against Amon-Ra St. Brown in certain ways. And Jalen Phillips, who in 2 games over the course of 1 week has been an utterly beautiful addition to the whole thing. So it's like they find a way to get people to just fit what they do under the Vic Fangio defense. And it isn't like this. Their offense still has issues, but like when you got this going on, you can neutralize and I think take the will and break the spirit of your opponent. And they broke the spirit of the Lions tonight on offense.
Mark's totally right. And this isn't just an example of like defense winning games in like the banal sense. It's like they had that clip earlier in the game of Nakobe Dean following Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield and running with him stride for stride and just completely shutting a route down. And you're thinking like, okay, this is probably like their 2nd or 3rd most athletic linebacker, at that position. They're going to be able to match up with anybody perpetually through the playoffs. It's like on any other team in the NFL, this offense is a problem. But in this, it's just sort of like almost like a Rex Ryan-esque secondary feature. It's like, this is just a tool to drain the clock and to turn it over to these guys who can do everything. It really is spectacular.
Now, I don't know how much I put on Jared Goff when the whole operation had been cracked by Philadelphia and Fangio. But yeah, he clearly was rattled and beaten up by this game. I thought Collinsworth was all over it and underlined it over and over again, like how difficult it was for the Lions to get into their offense because they could not give Jared Goff enough time to wait that extra beat, to let his receiver get into the full flight of his route, to hit the timing patterns. And quite frankly, in less than pleasant conditions for a dome quarterback, Jared Goff did nothing in this game to also, disavow thoughts about what he could be like in a spot like this in the playoffs. Like, if you're a Lions fan, you're like, shoot, we're 6-4, like, which is great. A lot of teams would love to be 6-4, but we're not in first place in our division. This is all coming a lot harder to us. And you look across the way against Philadelphia, they're 8-2. They have hardly played their best football as a collective unit. But this defense, and again, Collinsworth, I thought was hitting it hard and well with this, Mark, that they heat up when the weather gets colder, when the pieces fall into place, and they have a chance, I think, to really go on a big run here. I would be very, very nervous in the NFC by what I watched tonight in Philadelphia.
Yeah, they keep passing tests because, like, I get that we're a little. We could question the Packers whole situation, but like that was just 6 days ago or whatever, and now you've done it to the Lions. So they keep passing tests, and I thought tonight what they showed off, which is not celebrated in today's league, was total brutality. They brutalized Jared Goff, and there was one play where Jalen Phillips and another defender just essentially would have like Black Dahlia'd him if he'd have been a different situation. Like, it was a rough hit. And
Wikipedia in that, folks.
Exactly, but it's just. Yeah. I think that like they play a certain way, and like I trust them to win in any weather condition in any stadium. And like, it's not that I don't with the Lions, but you're kind of left just with questions about the quarterback on down. I think Goff has been a celebrated, accurate, wonderful player, but then you put him in these conditions and you're just kind of left with some question marks.
Sessy, 14 for 37.
Right.
Goff was today. Connor, that was it was you could tell, that he just had to look like, man, I cannot wait to get in the hot tub after this one, or just to disappear for about 3 straight days if I can.
You do wonder a little bit about, we talked about this on the Thursday show, right? Like, we celebrated Dan Campbell taking over play calling, but it was in a very advantageous situation against an opponent that was better suited for a coach just taking over play calling duty. You do wonder if like another play caller, if he was back with Ben Johnson, would have put him back there like 37 times versus only having 21 total rushing attempts, 12 for Jahmyr Gibbs and 6 for Montgomery. The Northeast weather, we're going to talk about it in the Giants game, is brutal. Like, there's shit blowing around in my house right now. It sounds like there's like ghosts outside. And so that's the entirety of that game. Do you really want your quarterback dropping back 40 times in that? I don't know.
Can I do we need to say this before we go to break, but when the Lions punted with 5:10 in the fourth quarter, it almost felt like the white flag being sent up by Dan Campbell, which is unthinkable if you know this coach and his mindset and who the Lions have been for years under his leadership. But then it led to, man, one of these days, I tell you, Nick Sirianni won't get away with doing dumb shit. He did it last week when they tried to take it out and show it to everybody and went deep to A.J. Brown and left them open and vulnerable, and they got away with it. This one was, I don't care, and I'm sure Connor will, but it's indefensible knowing what your defense has done all day. You're 4th and 1 from your own 30. There's no chance these Lions can score twice, but anybody can score once. They go for it. They get stuffed. Lions have 3 timeouts. 3 timeouts. They get the ball back. They barely move the ball. They might even move backwards, but they hit the field goal to get it down to a score. And then they get the stop. And then this is the Sirianni. I know his last name ends in a vowel, but this guy's Irish because he is lucky as hell. They call a phantom PI on Rock Ya-Sin that ends the game. That was terrible. When instead it should have been clock stopped, 1:45 to play, ball going back to the Detroit Lions with a chance impossibly to tie the game. So do I think that Lions offense was going to go down the field and score? Probably not. But would they have had a chance? Of course they would have had a chance. And Sirianni again gets away with one. You can come after me if you want, but that is absolutely the truth. Lucky. No. Yeah, this Eagles roster is idiot proof, and he's the proof of that.
You are we all agreed about that. That was a crazy call. And I'm always kind of tough on Chris Collinsworth. And I think it's by the time you get to Sunday Night Football, when you've been watching, if you started in Spain or wherever, and it's like, it was 14 hours ago, that I don't need Chris Collinsworth telling me anything by the time you get to the night. But
I thought he was awesome tonight, but yeah.
He was. I agree. He came down hard on that particular moment in the game, and he was absolutely right.
I think many of my Irish ancestors would disagree with your description that we're all incredibly lucky. But outside of that, I totally agree that this is one of those. And they're lucky, I think, that it didn't happen to Philly in a big spot, but this is still a watershed moment for officiating. We get about 4 or 5 of these a year that really drive change and possible legislation stuff in the offseason. And this is one of those that's going to be shown time and time again. I have no idea why this guy didn't swallow his whistle. This was like hero ball officiating at its absolute worst. And I have no idea why this guy wanted to step in and make that call. It's ridiculous.
One of these days. One of these days.
You'll be right at some point.
All right, that's just the first game in a whole bunch of interesting, fun games on this Sunday. So stay right there, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Sunday Night Football in the rearview mirror, but we're just getting going. We're now going to dig into the rest of this splendid Week 11 in the National Football League. And, Con Man, I don't know about you, but I feel like because this was such a wonderful week of football, there might be a little more pressure than usual on the shoulders of one Mark Edward Sessler.
I think so too, and maybe just generally to move away from your beloved grandfather Poppy, who has been the subject of like 3 of the last 5 weeks of this.
I don't think that's accurate, but fair.
It seems pretty close. Close.
I care about your grandfather,
and that's. Rest in peace, Poppy, and I appreciate that, but I'm kind of with Con Man on this. All right, without further ado, the Week 11 theme of the week is...
Okay, it's a little bit of a callback to a discussion we've had. It is the Sunday I Turned Pretty.
Oh, okay. I like this. This is Mark using a little pop culture, a popular streaming program,
yes.
And this is when I would think, Connor, my guess on this one, I think I have this one, when the 2025 regular season kind of hit full flight on this particular week.
No doubt. It could also just be a subtle reference to Mark himself, who looks straight up hot today. I mean, that
absolutely.
combo, yeah, it really is something.
Too self-referential, but
also
it was about the sport.
Bigger than usual week on the gram of Mark posting like 12 photos of himself at various stages of his life. So yeah, this is a very staring in the mirror, kissing the reflection, A-Rod style. I like this. Let's and I know where to go with it because
yes,
this week, yes, the season was beautiful, it was pretty, and while some of the play between the Seahawks and Rams wasn't always pretty, especially by one of the quarterbacks, this was one of many great games we're going to dig into right now. Yes, the Seahawks and Rams, both 7-2, both with designs on winning the NFC West, claiming the top seed in the NFC, and taking the short path to Super Bowl 60. And Sam Darnold, he had a chance for some redemption after a very ugly ending with the Vikings to the 2024 season when the Rams defense stifled him. Well, guess what? It happened again. Darnold goes 29-44 for 279 yards, but with 4 interceptions, no touchdowns. It's the Los Angeles defense that plays star in a 21-19 win for the home team, a game that ends with Seattle kicker Jason Myers short and wide right on a 60-plus yard attempt that would have decided the game. But it is the Rams who escape in that case. And I guess we'll start there, Connor, because say what you will, and Darnold was miserable, and we could talk about that because we need to talk about that. But the Seattle came within, if they had an extra 30 seconds on the clock of maybe even stealing this game, which would have been outrageous because it felt like the Rams did everything they needed to do to win.
I think that's my highest compliment that you can give to Mike Macdonald. And this is what I always said about the mid-era Belichick teams, where always they had one more possession left and they always had 3 timeouts and they always had a chance to win the game. And even down to the fact that they get their you-know-what together in enough time where they have 5 seconds left in that game. And then they run another passing play. And Rashid Shaheed, who had gotten there, 7 days ago, knows enough to get the ball right where he needs to, get down, call the timeout with, generously, probably like 0.002 seconds left on the clock, right? And to get them that field goal chance. It's one of those perfect games where it ended the way that I hoped it did, where I still think both of these teams are going to go very deep in the NFC playoffs. I think they're both going to be awesome. And, Darnold just had one of his bad Darnold days, which happens.
It just it leaves you with a weird feeling, because over the past couple of outings, Darnold has been turnover prone. And so you kind of wonder what you're going to get from him when it matters most, because other than these past couple of games, he's been sensational and really fits in that offense. But at the same time, like from a more positive outlook, you can look at the Seattle and say, your quarterback threw 4 interceptions. The rest of your offense played pretty well. Your defense played pretty well. And you almost beat what might be the best team in football despite all the mistakes. So it's like, I kind of come out of it optimistic more than fatalistic, but this Rams defense has found a way to solve Darnold multiple games in a row. I think that's just sort of an outlier concern about the future of the season.
Well, in different ways, too, because if you remember in the wild card loss for the Vikings, they dialed up an insane amount of pressure, and there was rightfully some criticisms after the game about how the Vikings season ended and the nature of the play calling and how it didn't seem to adapt to the type of defenses they were playing. In this case, so you could share the blame if you wanted to. Not that Darnold was trying to pass the blame, but you could. This game, I thought, yes, the pass rush did a nice job making him uncomfortable, but they didn't dominate the game in the same way. Darnold just made a lot of forced throws and poor timing, didn't see guys. And I think it is fair to say, and I'm the biggest Darnold fan that's talking on any show that you're going to listen to coming out of week 11. But when the ball starts rolling, I say this is a Jets fan too, sometimes you could kind of see it. It is a thing that you have to be aware of, to the point almost where I said to myself, I know he's not going to do it, but would McDonald ever take Darnold out of the game in the second half just to kind of calm things down if he felt like that might give the team a better chance? Obviously, he didn't. They almost steal the game anyway. They don't. I agree Seattle will be okay. After the game, Sean McVay had a lot of praise for his defense and the pass rush that maybe didn't fill up the box score, but who cares about box scores, Sean McVay says.
Oh, they were effective, and that's why I say stats are for losers, because they affected and influenced the game in a huge way. Obviously, Sam is a great quarterback, but he was getting off of his spot. I thought a lot of the pressure that we did get is what led to some of the decisions where our guys ended up making some great plays to be able to get those 4 interceptions throughout the course of the day. Really proud of that group.
Yeah, I mean, just great performance by the defense overall. Jordan, our buddy Jordan, had a great stat. Both defenses were excellent in this game, Connor. Can you fly that up, Justin? Seahawks D, as I noted last week, not me, Jordan, perfectly built and schemed to force Rams out of 13 personnel, and also limited to just 17% success rate, back to 64%, 11 personnel with limited numbers. The Ram defense held most explosive pass offense in NFL to 1 completion of 20-plus air yards, plus 4 interceptions, Connie.
It really was, and you could tell in some of the little moments where even like in a goal line stand, for example, like Seattle almost had 2 consecutive goal line stands to start this game, and then it wasn't until the Rams actually took their big personnel off the field and they took their 3 wide receiver set and put it on the field, but then in the gotcha moment ran out of that personnel set when they were throwing out of the bigger personnel set. That was the kind of the big tomfoolery that they needed to score that first touchdown. But even in all those moments, you can tell how next level Mike Macdonald is, because it's like a penalty kick. When teams are running that close to the end zone, you're guessing, basically. But it's an analytic-based guess. And every time, his defensive line surged right to where the Rams are running the ball. And you just thought to yourself, like, man, this guy is so on it. and it's going to take something like what Darnold did to knock him off his spot. But again, I mean, let's think about the totality of this. 4 picks against this Rams defense, and you still were in it at the end. And I don't know, this makes me just, I don't know, doubles down on my belief that the Seahawks are maybe the best team in the NFL.
They held Stafford to 130 yards passing. This was the hottest quarterback on planet Earth, and they I believe Mark said during his post-game presser, he noted, we ran 3 plays in the second quarter. Like, Seattle did a lot of things right in this game. They just had a quarterback that kept on putting them in a hole with the turnovers.
I'm really glad that it came down to the very end, because I think we went into this week 11 thinking that this game had a level of fascination to it that you don't often find between certain teams. But it's such a divisional game because you can tell that these coaches obsessively study each other. And it showed today. I mean, you're right. They overcame the mistakes. And I wonder, and this is a talk for another time at some point, but if we go deep throwback NFL and Chris Shula winds up as the next Shula to become a head coach at some point. I mean, he's been a little under the radar as a coordinator, but it's like what they're doing and what they've done each week is incredible. And it's like, we don't know where this journey leads again, but you know these two are going to clash once more.
Isn't that what happens in this league? Like, there's this dynasty, this McVay dynasty of coaching tree. It's what the Bill Walsh tree used to be, or the Parcells or the Belichick tree. Now it's the McVay tree, it's the Shanahan tree, and now McDonald's building something. You know, Zumwalt, our buddy, Cardinals fan, another tough day for the Cardinals. We were texting because he was raging out a little bit, and it was like, man, you're also the Cardinals are an operation that has issues, but this division, man. When you factor in, it's got McVay, Shanahan, and now McDonald's has instilled a program up there that's brings fear to other teams. Woo! The NFC West is hot, baby. Great game, fun game. Any other thoughts, Connor?
Ernest Jones from the Seahawks, I think, closed it out with a worthwhile thought, I guess, and that Sam has been balling. If we're trying to define Sam by this game, Sam has kept us in every fucking game. There are plays we could have made defensively and plays that we could have gotten stops on. This was like a big rally around Sam post game, and so I don't think the cracks are showing in the facade at all here.
Yeah, like, let's not overreact to it.
I love it. I think it's okay to be a little bit nervous, though, if I'm a Seahawks fan. That was a huge game and a big spot, and he melted down just like he did at the end of the previous season, which is what you were a little worried about when you brought him in the first place. It's okay to be like, shit, that was terrible. And it's great that they're supporting him, but I don't think it's like being underreactive to say, you know, okay, let's keep an eye on this, because he had it in his eyes again, a little bit in the eyes.
You've seen those eyes before.
Stats are for losers.
He was seeing ghosts a little bit, Connor. I guess I'll underline it. He was seeing some ghosts.
Come on.
Just a little bit.
Poor guy.
A little bit.
How good do you have to be that people stop giving a shit about your 1 or 2 bad games of the year? Like, Josh Allen has had, 5 3-interception games and 20-some multi-interception games?
Well, it's the DNA of Darnold, though. It's
right.
Like you're just wondering with these reclamation projects, like, are we going back to
the narrative? Yeah,
right.
The narrative around his career that until he, has that big moment, I would imagine, in January perhaps, and maybe it happens this year, because I'm with you guys. I believe in that man as much as anyone, but that was a tough Sunday in Los Angeles. All right, let's move to the AFC, a massive game with big implications at Mile High Stadium. Invesco Field at Mile High, enough. Corporations, man. They are the death of America, but they keep us going as well. Capitalism. All right.
Conflicting thoughts.
The Denver Broncos are the team of HTC. Why? Because they're all grit, baby. They find a way. They always do. They won their 8th straight game, being the latest team to hand a 1-score loss to the Chiefs, 22-19. This one ends on a Will Lutz field goal as time expired. Lutz's 5th kick conversion of the day. And the Broncos all but bury the Chiefs in the AFC West. The Chiefs are 5-5. The Chiefs, Justin Graver, who watched this game, we all watched it, but Justin's the lead dog on this one. Justin, like, They have another meeting coming up in December, but you've now opened up such a big lead in the division. It feels like it's gone for the Chiefs before we get to Thanksgiving. And beyond that, the Kansas City Chiefs are now 0-5 in one-score games this year after being historically great last year. I didn't think any of us thought that they would sustain that, but the sheer number of times now we've seen this team in big spots not get the job done continues to be a surreal watch to me. And we saw it both in the last Kansas City possession with Mahomes and then the defense not getting the stop at the end.
And a lot of people think winning one-score games can be a skill, and then a lot of people think it's one of those reasons why you point at certain teams in the offseason and say they're going to regress because look at all the one-score games they won. And Jim Nantz pointed out on the broadcast, and I was thinking about it too as this game was winding down and the Broncos were getting ready to kick that game-winning field goal, was the Chiefs extended their undefeated season last year on an insane play where they blocked a Broncos go-ahead game-winning field goal. And, it's those little plays, the little things that can swing the entire outcome of a game when you make that big play in that big moment. And if you don't, do you call it get lucky in that moment? Do you call it stepping up in that big moment? If you don't do it, you're not going to come out with the win. And the Chiefs haven't had those big time moments this year where they just step up when it matters the most.
And we've talked about the fact that if you're any other team in the West, you've got to learn, like, locker room wide, how to psychologically tussle and beat the Chiefs. And the one thing that's been consistent with Sean Payton's Broncos, and of course we know they've had a good defense the whole time he's been there, but they have kept Kansas City at bay on offense. And it happened again today. And I thought the other thing I would just say is that coming off a week where there were a lot of think pieces and negative thoughts about Bo Nix, he made some money throws down the stretch here. That throw to Courtland Sutton, the 48-yard shot to Troy Franklin. It's like he did what he needed to do on his side of the ball to get them in position to take out the Kansas City Chiefs.
Vance Joseph was awesome on third down today too. And I mean, I know he's the coach, but like the coverage on the back end was really sticky. And then you would just, maybe you'd send your corners, maybe you'd send somebody from the secondary. But if you go back historically, he has been lights out against Mahomes every time he's faced him head to head. It's like less than one touchdown a game, over one interception per game, 3+ sacks per game. Like Vance Joseph has this guy figured out. And I wonder just more broadly, like, I mean, as we're looking at this team, they have like a 50% chance of making the playoffs. Is this like the domino effect of like a division finally just hiring a bunch of good coaches around them? And this is something that never happened to the Patriots until Sean McDermott got there. And, what that's like and how significant it is that it happened a little bit sooner into their dynasty.
I'm open to that. This is the first game where I'm open to it because there were a couple times in the fourth quarter of this game, and it was a great game. It went back and forth. It was tight the whole time. Where it's like, okay, this is the moment where Mahomes goes on a cold-blooded drive down the field, and they steal a game and break Denver's hearts like they've been doing forever over this incredible run. And it was fitting that, it was the third down play on the last Chiefs offensive possession where it ends with a sack. And it was a blitzer that comes free. He, gets to Mahomes, knocks him down. Mahomes jumps up. He's motioning to the official, like, he hit me in the head. He hit me in the head. And it's like, no, Pat, that is not this season. This season is different than those seasons. And this season, you're not getting that call. So it just feels like the mojo is off in this game. The Denver Broncos did not have Patrick Surtain in this game, and they still were able to lock up this team. They made Rashee Rice disappear in the second half, which was a big deal. You just what a great effort. And after the game, Bo Nix spoke with Tracy Wolfson of CBS, and he appreciated it. Because I don't like when a Wolfson type asks, like, what did this game mean? And then a Josh Allen or somebody would be like, hey, just one win. Like, no, it meant something. This is an important game, and he spoke on that.
It was huge. I mean, this was a must-win going into the bye week. They have a really good team, and, hats off to them. They played us really well. We knew it was going to be a tough game. We knew we were going to have to play really well, especially down the stretch, and Lutz is just getting good at those game winners.
I think, honestly, Dan, you mentioned the blitz that got Mahomes down at the end. Jaquan McMillan, cornerback, who I think is playing for Pat Surtain, if I'm not mistaken, he only blitzed twice in this game. He had sacks on both of his blitzes, including that one. And I think I honestly believe the difference in this game is that Bo Nix outplayed Patrick Mahomes. And I never thought I would say those words in my life. And Nix has had a pretty up and down season overall, but I thought Mahomes was not great in this game. I mean, he really only completed one good big downfield pass, and it was a great throw, but he missed on a number of other downfield passes where he had guys open. He got bailed out by what I thought was a pretty weak pass interference flag on one. I just think they should take this rule out of football. If you underthrow a receiver by like more than 5 yards and the defensive back runs into the receiver coming back to the ball because you made a horrible throw, you shouldn't get yards for that, but whatever, different discussion. I just thought Nix, like you said, Mark, time and again, he hit Sutton on that final drive. He hit Franklin a number of times. He hit Pat Bryant down the field. Like, he was creating explosive plays with his arm, and that was the difference in this game.
Let's talk Chiefs and penalties for one more second, because I thought it was interesting and I looked up the per game stats. And so last year, the Chiefs were penalized 10 times or more in a game one time. This year already, and this is we're 11 weeks into the season, this is their third game of 10 or more penalties. They had 13 in the season opener in Brazil, if you remember that, and then 10 twice more, 10 today. And big holding penalties in the red zone that are being called against the Chiefs in this game. And so, like, I'm not saying that this is like the dismantling of some deep state conspiracy, but I'm saying, like, it really does suck to have to get called for penalties like everybody else. And now they're finding that out.
I went into this. We talked about it in the Thursday show. This is a Chiefs game. The Chiefs are going to win. They're going to find a way. And it's like, they needed this game. And they did need this, and they didn't get it. And now I think they're sitting ninth in the AFC playoff picture, and it's going to be now a dogfight to just make the playoffs, because they can't win close games. 0-5 in close games. And I think it's all of us have to start being aware that this is a different season, including Tony Romo. I don't want to pile on Tony Romo every week. I don't. Tony's doing he's doing his best. I thought actually on the last possession, him and Nance were pretty locked in, and he kind of saw the game well. They set it up well. But at one point, this was late in the first quarter, and what was already shaping up to be a bit of a stalemate, offensive stalemate, Romo just defaulted into like Patrick Mahomes' default. Patrick Mahomes is a sorcerer stuff, and it's just like, take a deep breath and realize maybe this isn't the same. Listen to this.
I'm going to tell you, early in games, I just see certain things that kind of flash. Kansas City is going to be aggressive, and Mahomes, you see and feel his sense of urgency, not just throughout the week with his communication, but the way he's playing right now, Jim. Watch out. He looks to me like he might be in the zone today.
I mean, Dan, this has been on my radar for like 8 years, but he's got a deeply ingrained, unalterable Mahomes fetish, and you can't just shake it off in 2 weeks like the rest of us. It's ingrained.
This was halfway through the first quarter after Mahomes had missed those two downfield, went 3 and out because he missed 2 wide open receivers.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I'm like, why is he saying this right now? And like to the Marchand write-up last week, it's like you could tell after that, if we would have played a little longer, what is Nance supposed to do with that? Like, what is that analysis? Like, he just has that look in his eyes like, all right, buddy.
Right. It's unrewarding for Nance. I would agree.
So do you guys think the Broncos have this division locked up?
Yeah. You know why? Because they're going into their bye at 9-2. They are 4 wins ahead of the Chiefs, 2 wins ahead of the Chargers, who we'll get to. And they just I'm gonna go Romo. They just got that look. Like, they know how to close out games. They pass every test. Every test they pass.
Yeah,
and they're
they
only
beat the Eagles earlier this year. You could point to their wins and the fluky or the ugly nature of some of them, but you could also look at their losses and be like, these fuckers could be 11-0 right now.
They're built to win this
just
division.
Give it up.
Like, that's how they were
constructed. That's a big win.
So.
That's a big win. Even if the Chiefs maybe aren't the Chiefs anymore.
It's a big win for me because I have a ticket for Broncos to win the AFC West. And I always say, don't count your tickets. Don't count your tickets before they cash. But Hey, this one is looking pretty good for me right
Was
now.
this another $10 ticket? Like, what does this do for you financially at this?
Small
green light.
man.
It's a 3-to-1 payout. So what it does is it
Don't
covers
care.
me for 3 other tickets that are probably going to be losers.
Very quickly.
Well, enjoy the free lunch that you buy off of that if that goes through.
McDonald's.
On the
Yes,
Romo
Connor.
Nance front, I do wonder if there's a conspiracy, because you did note that Marchand was using like childlike words to describe Tony Romo in his report. And then Jim Nance, after the field goal block in this game, just casually happened to mention that the blocker on the Broncos was 6'7". And then I feel like he laid that up for Tony to say something stupid. He's like, go ahead and say it. I dare you to say it. And then there's just 4 seconds of painful silence on the other end while you can tell he's gasping for life to not make a 6'7" joke. And then they just move on to the next thing. And I was like, I bet Nance just laid that out there to be like, let me see how dumb you are right now. And I'm going to see if you fall into my little rat trap.
These are the things that make Connor's Sundays, and I'm here for it.
But just to put a bow on it, were you disappointed that he didn't do it, or were you proud of him that he was able to refrain?
I mean, my wife says like I'll never let like an Inuit, like a Michael Scott, like I'm never gonna let a That's What She Said go, and it's painful and it probably has harmed the relationship more times than it's helped it, but that's who I am, and so I feel bad when someone like Romo has been shamed to the point where he's just got to sit on his own hands. But this is how it goes.
Congratulations to the Denver Broncos, the team of Heed the Call. Right, guys? Right? I mean, let's take a
they
win.
destroyed my childhood, so I'm not. It's a little bit of a stretch for me, but okay.
I'm just saying, like, how many years have we tried to pump up a team as the team of our show, and then they just like totally crumbled, and we finally hit on this one, and I feel like we should. Come on, guys.
Well, we usually pick them in like week 4 or 5. We've waited till they're 9-2, so correct. It's a little more.
Oh,
It
what do you
feels a little
mean?
more secure.
I proposed this in July. What?
Yes.
Are you on our podcast, Mark? Have we not been talking about this for months?
I don't remember anything from July, but I do. I
believe that. I believe that. All right, let's move to another game of massive consequence, an intra-squad affair. Yes? No? Maybe so? Connor?
I got dinged by my editor for
think
saying
Connor
something
had this
last
wrong
time,
last
so I'm
time,
going to shut up. I don't know.
You telling me it might be inter-squad?
Well, I don't know, man. English is a tricky language.
Olddictionary.com over there, I think, was incorrect when he brought this up last time. So
Intra-league.
I'm staying out of it.
We might have to just throw it out. Anyway,
Right.
Mark, Josh Allen joy check.
Oh.
Sessy was concerned. Does the Bills quarterback love football? Is there something going on behind the scenes? Why doesn't he have that same look? Well, he looked pretty good to me. 6 touchdowns. 3 passing, 3 rushing. Historically great game. Gave Zuzzer's fantasy team 50 points. That was cool. And the Bills march by the Bucs 44-32. He's just, I mean, and the game starts, it couldn't have started worse for Josh Allen, who, Mark, on the first Bills possession, he gets hurried in his end zone and tries to flip a pass over the middle like Darnold style, gets picked off, leading to the opening points for the Tampa Bay. But that Allen offense from that point on was almost unstoppable.
It was important to see him overcome what felt like the opening pages of the type of Josh Allen game that you're worried about that he has once in a while. And he completely overcame that. So you're right. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground and 3 through the air. He's done that twice in his career and is the only NFL player that's ever done that. That's the power of Josh Allen. And it's like, if you're the Bills' experiences, you just kind of let him go and you hang on, and he's going to do it for you. I thought what was very different about their offense after that initial turnover today was a certain type of aggression and confidence through the air. I think it's been fair to say that they've not looked plentiful through the air with the wide receiver type issue. Wide receivers, and it was a weird cast of characters, showed up today. Keon Coleman was made inactive before the game, and players talked afterwards, and it sounds like Keon Coleman has some winning over to do inside that locker room and some growing up to do as a young player.
He missed the Friday meeting.
Right. And it's like, that's, they somehow looked more cohesive minus him. Guys like Mecole Hardman, who's barely been there, like had a huge kick return. Ray Davis had a big kick return as well. Ty Johnson made a huge 52-yard touchdown catch. Curtis Samuel, Gabe Davis. Like, these aren't classic number one wide receivers, but Josh Allen walked out into halftime with 55 yards through the air, and they just looked like the offense you've been waiting to see from a passing angle. And it was pretty impressive against a good Bucs defense. I was watching this game brought me more pleasure than I usually feel on Sundays when you're trying to watch multiple games at the same time. It was absolutely delightful, and Baker Mayfield balled out too in this thing, and they really battled. And I just thought to myself, if this was ever, and it's going to take a lot to get there, but if this was ever the Super Bowl matchup, it would be one of the most delightful rematches of all time. It was really great. The one thing that concerns me about Buffalo, before I pass it off, is that the Bucs ran at will on this defense. 202 plus yards. Sean Tucker went wild on them. And it's like weeks in a row where the Bills defense cannot stop anyone on the ground. And I don't love that from a December, January angle. I'll leave it to you. I'll throw it to you guys.
I spent like the last week looking at what is Joe Brady's whole thing? Like, what is his philosophy? What does he believe in? And I went back to Carolina, and I went back to some of the other stops that he was at, and all the way back to LSU. And I'm starting to get the philosophy from a kind of a ground standpoint, and like, we're going to make the team defend every blade of grass. We're going to put different guys in different kind of personnel settings. We're not going to make it like Josh Allen and a couple good receivers going deep. And that all makes sense to me until you watch Sunday's game, and it's just like the glowing man from NBA Jam, and then nothing else makes any kind of sense. And, he will throw the worst interception that you've ever seen in your entire life, and then he'll run sideline to sideline and then just fire a ball to, what was it, Tyrone Shavers was the name of the guy who caught that first touchdown catch? And
that was who essentially sort of replaced Coleman.
Sorry. Yeah. And so to me, it's like, I think at this point we should stop arguing about like, and I do it all the time. I've led the charge. This guy's rushing too much. This guy's doing too much. It doesn't matter. Like, he's just going to do this, and the Bills are just going to have to go along for the ride. And one playoffs, he's going to be on an uncomparable heater and lead the Bills to a Super Bowl. And it may be this year and it may be never, but it's one of those things that they're just going to have to accept how unpredictably great he is, and then how in like 20% of the games he's just not quite there. There is no system. Like, there's no scheme. It's just Josh,
You take a game like this, and I didn't think Baker played great in this game, Mark. I thought he was. I think Baker's a great quarterback, but I think Josh Allen's like a Hall of Fame level quarterback who, when he's in his bag like he is today, he just blows everybody off the field.
One quick thing though, I think that Baker Connor made a great point on Thursday that we've had a less than healthy version of Baker, and it took away his work on the ground. He was a fascination on the ground today.
Fine.
Yeah.
I mean, but he wasn't anything close to what Josh Allen was in this game. And all I'm saying is like that, and that's less a takedown of Baker, although that offense continues to be stuck in the mud a little bit, and it's been that way for over a month now, and keep an eye on it. Allen, without Dalton Kincaid, without Coleman, who's a knucklehead and got himself knocked off, it didn't matter. Like, he's one of those guys that can just say, today I win. Like on those couple of those rushing touchdowns, it's like he's just like a bull in a china shop going downhill, and he's a quarterback, and then he'll make some beautiful touch throws downfield. Like, he can do it all. He's truly special. I just think that on the Tampa side, I also kind of push back on like, oh, maybe we'll get a Super Bowl rematch. I just don't think Tampa is at the same level of these big time teams.
I'm more saying that's what I would want.
Okay, I
don't think we're getting that.
But let me just finish my point. Like,
sure,
Tampa Bay's had 2 weeks in a row against AFC East teams, and I think you saw again a little bit of the NFC South side of this conversation where they're going to win that division. I know that the Panthers are hanging around there. But I think in both of these games, we saw the limitations, especially this version of Tampa Bay, which has not been able to overcome the injuries in the way some other teams have.
You're absolutely right. I more meant like that's what I want than that's what I think makes logical sense. But they worry me because it's sort of packed into the whole Baker Mayfield thing where he's a little bit like the engine that could. Like, we don't truly think he's an MVP, but he's playing like that at times. And it wasn't today, but at times. And it's like, it's a great story and the Bucs are fun because of him. But I don't know how many heartbreaking losses you can take, because they only lose close games. And today's score got a little out of hand at the end, but like there were 9 lead changes in this game. It was just a classic like Bucs loss. And it's like, I don't want them to be defined this way, but they really find a way to lose games that leave you, there's a lot of blood on the floor.
And now they go another test. They go to Los Angeles to face the Rams Sunday night next week. So that's going to be a challenge. Obviously, the Bills go to Houston on a short week, and Thursday Night Football, that will be another good test with D'Amico Ryans' defense playing well. But yeah. Oh, and it was a back and forth game. I don't know how it happened, but I did the blind lock and I got banged on it, and I had to cover 11. Daddy gets a 12-point win for the Buffalo Bills.
You did
in the biggest of all spots.
At the very end. And there's one little, that was a big win for you because like that was gutsy. One little moment, because I think
deal with the con man.
One of the things that we love about this season are these breakaways to Adam Shine. Can we play this wild breakaway that I've listened to about 6 times in a row? This guy's crazy, man.
Update with Adam Shine. Iron, JJ, Matthew writes the right stuff. 35-yard game-winning field goal for the Texans, who have the Bills coming up on Thursday night. Back to you.
I mean, was like Jesse the Body Ventura or something. I don't know, Mean Gene.
JJ.
He's a breakout star. He's absolutely a breakout star. Here's Josh Allen. Give him the last word on this one.
Trying to stay as level as possible. Not getting too high, not getting too low. You know, starting off 4-0 and we're the best team in the world. We lose 2 in a row when we're the worst team in the world. And it's like, we don't want to ride that. We just want to stay here, stay consistent, continue to work hard, put together game plans, and go out there and execute on game days.
What do you see, Mark? What do you see in his eyes?
Well, I was concerned about him. I see someone that fought through whatever was going on before, and I'm not concerned anymore.
Good. Great news.
As if he cared or if he even knew that I had any concerns, but...
Somebody tapped him on the shoulder right before kickoff. He's like, hey, Mark was talking on the podcast this week. He's worried about whether you still have the joy in life. It's like,
you're like that blogger from NFL.com? Yeah, that guy.
All right, let's take a break, and we keep rolling through this excellent Week 11. All right, we keep moving. Let's go to the NFC North, where 9 was looking to score a big division win at home. Let's see how it went. Not great. Oh, I have to keep going?
Please.
The Chicago Bears, they have a knack. They're kind of like the Broncos in the NFC, where it's just like, do you respect the Bears? Do you think they're actually good? They don't care. You know what they care about? They're 7-3 after Cairo Santos piped one at the gun to secure a 19-17 win over the Vikings. The Vikings were, getting beat badly in this game. They were down 16-3 entering the fourth quarter. But they managed to put the ball in the end zone twice. Their last possession, after really a very poor J.J. McCarthy performance overall. He isn't helped in this game either. There's some bad drops as well from Jordan Addison and others. More frustration from Justin Jefferson. Just the vibes were bad. But to McCarthy's credit, and he did the same thing against the Bears earlier this season, he snapped into it on their last possession. He leads them down the field. The Bears play kind of like a soft shell type defense. I don't know what they were doing, but McCarthy was hitting on target, and he gets a touchdown pass to put them ahead in the final minutes. But then a Vikings team that can't figure it out this season. They can't quite put it together when the rookie or the second-year quarterback finally has a big drive in this game, and it looks like they're going to steal one away. Devin Duvernay for the Bears returns once 56 yards in the final minute, which sets up the Santos kick, and the Bears survive. So, this is who they are. This is who Chicago is. It is absolutely fair, I think, to ask, is this a team that can take this type of football into January if they get that far and win playoff games? Maybe it's a magical ride that the Bears are on, because this has happened so many times over their 7 wins. Here's a good stat. The Bears are at plus 20 in turnovers, and they're 3-0 in games decided by 2 points or fewer, and 5-1 when the margin is 5 or less. That's all from the AP, Connor. So they're essentially, however this happened, they body swapped with the Kansas City Chiefs, and they win all these crazy games. And as a result, they are in great position in the North.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a little bit of a KC body swap, like you're saying. I mean, some teams have to win an outlier number of close games every year. It's just how it works. But I do think that they've taken a lot of painstaking effort into like rebuilding the running game, really building something that's functional around Caleb Williams. And even though the Vikings were on him all day, I mean, I think Flores pressured him on 70% of dropbacks or something like that in this game. I think it's at the point now where he can survive these games, because under Matt Eberflus with old offensive coordinators, there was no built-in survival mechanism. And I think that's kind of been the Ben Johnson difference for him.
It feels like the one place in football or in the NFL where, like, if you did that last week and the week before, there's just a different level of belief that you're going to do it this week. And like, it doesn't always translate from season to season for obvious reasons, but they are kind of doing that. And like, I mean, Ben Johnson mentioned it directly, like in the locker room a week ago, then they just went and did it again. And, it helps when in this rugged, crazy division that a team like Minnesota, to Dan's point, is struggling to string together wins and have lost some of their identity. And it starts at quarterback. And like, I'm probably the one that would preach patience with all these guys that are in their essentially first seasons, because that's all McCarthy is right now. But you leave a little concerned. I liked what he did at the end of the game. Like, there's something about him that kind of like makes you feel like it could stir some magic, but he's also like a young quarterback holding the ball too long. And, it's a work in progress. And their season is sort of, it is what it is. And it's like, I don't like, their goals are fading away where the Bears are growing up very quickly.
Yeah. We've talked about this. This isn't necessarily JJ McCarthy's fault. It's somewhat unusual circumstances that he inherited a 14-win team, but it wasn't also, this isn't on him. It was just more like an organizational decision that they were going to turn the keys over to him. They're not going to bench him. They're not going to put in Max Brosmer at this point. I mean, where they are standings wise at this point, this is now, it's turning into almost a developmental feel. When you watch this game back, if you didn't have a chance to watch the game, his first 3 quarters, it's as bad as it can get. I mean, he was unplayable. But to his credit, and what you're saying there, Mark, is his last 5 passing attempts, all completions, culminating with a go-ahead touchdown. So yeah, there is that kind of moment in him. Now can he smooth all that stuff out? And I think if you're a Vikings fan, it's frustrating because you went into the season with high hopes, but you just kind of have to change your mindset on what the rest of this Vikings season is, because I think there's going to be, even if there is growth, Connor, with JJ McCarthy in 2025 in these last 7 weeks or whatever, there's also going to be the stumbles where they're going to end up losing some more games. And it's going to take them out of playoff positioning. I feel like this was the week where it's like, okay, this is going to become a different type of year going forward.
Yeah, I'm still mystified. I mean, I don't know if mystified is the right word, because Kevin O'Connell had like a crazy reaction to it afterwards. But the kick return itself that set up the Bears for the game winner after 9 did an amazing job of conjuring 9 and throwing the game winning touchdown, setting himself up for conference player of the week, or at least an LFG award, because Tom Brady was there. It could have been his second straight LFG award.
Oh, no.
Why
you guys should have seen what was going on in the text thread, by the way.
It was so
between Sessler and Connor. It was And I found myself in a very difficult position because I do like the Vikings. I had them as an over in our over-under game. But I was like, I'm not going to watch this game for 3.5 hours and watch this guy trip on his own balls for the first 3 quarters and then have one good drive. And then I have the 2 of these jackals talking about how we have the new Joe Montana. I can't do it. So I was a little bit, when Santos hit
Stats are for losers.
When Santos hit the kick, I was like, oh, thank God we could talk about this game in a rational way.
He's not wrong, Connor.
So I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about. That's how I normally talk. Typically, you will if you're confident in your defense, and especially the way that a defense performs against a certain quarterback, the way that Brian Flores has against Caleb Williams, you will take that touchback and you will take that penalty because you're not really all that nervous about him starting at the 35-yard line. You know what I mean? And so I'm just wondering, I mean, Kevin O'Connell flipped after that. I don't know if it was a miscommunication, if he didn't want them to have a return, if he was wanting to pin them deep. I don't know what the strategy was there, but there seemed to be something that was off about that.
All right, here's some Caleb Williams sound after the win.
I think the belief that we've grown within the locker room is what changed. I think that's been the biggest thing throughout the season so far is the belief. And when you have belief, when you have the trust between each other and the guys and things like that, you know, these moments don't seem too big.
You know, the old heads might know this. 2001, I think you had a Bears team that had a similar type of energy. It was an Urlacher team. There was a bad quarterback, but they kept on finding ways, and they pulled out wins with a ton of punt returns and turnovers, and they rode that to, I think, about a division title, I believe, that year, and then it petered out. I'm still not a full believer. I'm more of a believer in Denver than I am in Chicago, put it that way right now. But again, Bears fans haven't had a lot of exciting seasons in the last 30 years or so. So enjoy the magic carpet ride and enjoy Cairo Santos in the locker room. Everyone, check it out on YouTube. Smash the subscribe button.
Good, man. You talked about clutch when we needed it most, man. Let me get a little Cairo action.
No, maybe the worst locker room dance ever right there. They shouldn't have let him talk after that.
That's
Kickers,
how I
man.
dance.
There was a little Sesslerian vibe to it. That's fair. Can we just see that dance one more time, Justin? Oh, yeah. There's a little Sessler at the cozy after he comes out of the restroom and joins the group by the pool table. Yeah,
Sure.
I can see that. I love it. Good vibes. All right, let's head to the Meadowlands. Bum, 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 bum. I love the song. Love watching Jameis. You know, small sample sizes. I thought this Packers-Giants tilt was set up well for an upset. You had the Bisaccia bump vibes with Kafka replacing Dable. You had Jameis Winston coming in with Jackson Dart down with the concussion and Russell Wilson pushed into the cornfields. But credit the Packers because the Giants did fight as they do almost every week. They take a late lead, but Love leads the Packers down the field in the fourth quarter, and they finish off the Giants 27-20. And Green Bay, which has been on a slide offensively, specifically Mark, maybe didn't light it up in this game, but they showed signs of life, and they survived what would have been another very bad loss.
Yeah, you're right that like it felt like we were watching a developing upset unfold because Green Bay did what they could from a certain point of view. I think they had 7 drops on offense and also dropped 2 to 3 would-be Jameis Winston interceptions on defense. So it's like this could have been a wipeout had they been very efficient, but Love, who I thought was sort of all over the place today early on, kind of got hot down the stretch. Christian Watson made a couple money catches. Like, he really stepped up when they needed him most.
I called that.
Did you? Well,
I said Watson was a guy that they were going to really need to step up, and I think he's really doing that in this offense. Thanks again for listening, Mark, to the show. Okay,
no, that
go on.
speaks to your acumen. But it was a real hot and cold afternoon because they also lost they lost Jordan Love for a while, and Malik Willis was in there, and it was like, wait, what's going on with Jordan Love? He came back in the game.
Thank you,
A little
Paul
bit
Rudd.
late
Go
there,
ahead, Mark.
Justin, but okay. And then Josh Jacobs, though, left with a knee injury and did not return. So it's kind of like it was a little bit rough. You don't have Tucker Kraft at this point. Elgton Jenkins is not in there. It's like they're losing guys kind of left and right. And it really came down to, I thought, like for Jameis Winston, and this was the most Jameis Winston game. He was delightful, but you're always going to get the point, to your point, where it's like the small sample size is a little more delightful because a big mistake happened late with a chance to get back into it. Throws a ball into the end zone intended for Jalen Hyatt. And this was not on Jameis. Try to watch it over and over. And the broadcast mentioned it too. I think Jalen Wyatt had like what would have been like a corner route and basically just stopped. And it landed right into the arms of a Green Bay Packer, game over. And they had one more chance to basically throw a Hail Mary at the end of the game. And Micah Parsons made the play that you were waiting for. He just dropped Winston to the rug.
Go.
Parsons was pretty good in this game, but you lose your running back in Jacobs, who I think is the engine of this offense. And there were moments that make me think like Green Bay. We're not quite sure what they can be, but they're really uneven. They're really uneven.
Here's the good news. Josh Jacobs, at least the initial reporting is that x-rays were negative on the knee injury. He'll have an MRI on Monday, so they're going to hold their breath and hopefully that comes back clean. As for Jordan Love, it was a shoulder injury that he...
Left shoulder, though.
Left shoulder, non-throwing shoulder. Here he was after the game talking about gutting it out and getting the dub.
Yeah, it's exactly what we needed. We came in with the mindset, it's going to be a game, it's going to, whatever it takes. We got to find a way to go get a win and get us back on track. So, like you said, it's never going to be pretty, man. It's the NFL. You got to find ways to go win these games, and obviously was a close one, came down to the end, but we stayed together, and guys just found ways to keep making plays all the way to the fourth quarter.
In one quick note, like the wind, this is like, I can't think of a game this season where wind played a bigger role. There were 3 missed extra points early, and I think that definitely impacted the passing game for both teams too. It was like a wild, gusting wind, Connor.
I can attest to that. I'm only about 20 miles from the stadium, and in a amazing stroke of luck, all the leaves that I have not raked blew right into my neighbor's yard today, and it was just like, dude, it was so
God
great.
is real. God is real.
Domestic victory.
By the way, between the Bills cover on the blind spread and this, yes, God is a beautiful thing, and he's watching out for us all.
Amazing. But yeah. I do want to give a little bit of a hat tip to Mike Kafka, who was just wild in this game. Like took they won the coin toss and took the ball, which is kind of like a ridiculous ceremonial interim head coach move. But I think at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but he went for it on fourth down 3 times in one drive, starting at his own 36-yard line. And I was like,
correct. They were very aggressive.
Like, let's just do it. You're only going to be an NFL head coach for probably 6 weeks. Like, go do it.
You can tell Kafka likes Jameis Winston for all those like just dial it up and go for it. And he looks like a head coach to me. He's got a mean grill to him. I kind of dig him. But you're right, they were hyper aggressive.
The only way you can keep the job as an interim head coach is if you really change the temperature of the room, and then you flip every lever you flip turns green. Like, that's what I would do. I would just be an absolute maniac.
Yeah.
I would, and then maybe you're like the 2025 Chicago Bears, where everything starts to the dominoes fall your way. I mean, what do you have to lose? I mean, good for him. All right, let's move on. Listen, you're a Giants fan. It's just like draft pick keeps getting better. There's going to be a lot of look at it this way. I don't think Kafka is going to be the head coach, but they're going to hire somebody. The fan base will get talked into the guy one way or the other. Scadaboo's coming back. Dart will be there. Malik Neighbors will be there. They'll have a high first round. I mean, you're going to be excited as a Giants fan. You just got to get through a couple more months of this.
Giants fans always find a way to pump up their own self-experience. I've come to know that traditionally.
And for all the hand wringing, and you guys are the 2 biggest Giants fans I knew a couple months ago. But like for all the hand wringing of the Packers, they're 6-3-1, and they got the Vikings limping into their building next week, so they're in a decent position too. All right, let's move on. Let's head to Man, the Falcons needed this one. At home with the Carolina Panthers ahead of them in the standings. This was the time for the Falcons to soar. And yet, they did what they always do. They shrink in a big spot, and Bryce Young does what he seems to always do. Just when you write him off, he says, I ain't writing back. What was the old Geno Smith line? I don't remember. Young threw for 448 yards with 3 touchdowns, no picks. Ryan Fitzgerald kicked a 28th-yard field goal in overtime. Panthers beat the Falcons 30-27. Young had a 54-yard pass to Tommy Tremble to set up the game-winning kick for Carolina. They sweep the NFC South rival Falcons, who just stink. And I didn't feel good about that Raheem Moore where we had him in the hot butt rankings. I feel like we didn't bury him. He's in a lot of trouble. That team is
I think others didn't like it either. We got some flack for that.
No, like he's in a lot of trouble. I think this game, Connor, that's a tough loss for the Falcons and a really nice win for Bryce Young and the Panthers.
Yeah, Bryce Young had a career high. I mean, it was 448 yards or whatever. And Robert Hunt, who of the Panthers, who I just love the fact that he only has like 16,000 Twitter followers. I get that, like a kick out of that. But after the game, he said, "F it, let's build a Bryce Young statue in Atlanta." And I just was like, yeah, like everybody's kind of getting behind this guy. Like there's a lot of
Isn't it
energy.
weird though? Like I feel like kind of we had the same conversations last year on the show. We were having these conversations on Thursday. Oh, I guess Bryce Young's not the guy. And maybe he's not the guy, but he does have a knack of just showing you maybe I'm a little more than what you now kind of slotted me in to be. And it does set up once again a 6 or 7 week audition, and it starts in a wonderful way.
I would say sometimes, right? And I think that this game is all circumstance based. The Panthers were getting handled for a large portion of this game when Michael Penix was in and before it passed off to Kirk Cousins. Like Penix was like 11 of 12, like Drake London had over 100 receiving yards. Like everything was working for them. And you know, the Panthers would go for it on 4th and short, and Bryce Young is trying to scramble for a first down, which he just doesn't have the body type to do. And a player can just physically grab him and rip him back behind the first down marker. So you saw kind of all the bad Bryce Young stuff. And then everything started to turn kind of after Kirk Cousins came in and after the Panthers kind of got a couple long completions, but you can't take away the fact that this was just a spectacular day for him. I thought the staff did a really good job with Tet McMillan and putting him in some better spots for Bryce too, maybe kind of altering his route concepts a little bit so that Bryce had some different options for him. But this thing is going to be a constant like work in progress. And I don't know if it ever leads anywhere, but they kind of have to stick with them for a little bit.
It felt like the perfect game script for a clash between the two most confusing teams in the NFC, right? Because the Falcons, I think, scored 3 straight touchdowns, and I was reading reports like everyone looks like what you're waiting for, and by the end of the game, Penix is out of the game. I mean, I know Young played through an injury too, but it's like I just can't get a handle on these two. But the Panthers sit a half game behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now.
Have we gotten to the point where we're allowed to say we do know who the Falcons are? They've lost 5 straight. They're 3-7 in the NFC South. And, we don't even know now what Penix's situation was. He was removed with 5:22 left in the third quarter with a knee injury. We know Cousins seems to have nothing left in the tank at this point. Drake London also, he got banged up in this game. Knee injury, according to Adam Schefter, not thought to be overly serious, but he's scheduled to undergo an MRI on Monday to determine the extent of his injury and how much time he will miss, if any. Yeah, head on a swivel for Raheem Morris, who, if we can go back in time, we should put him into a hotter seat because I don't think this is sustainable. Certainly, if they continue to lose, 5-game losing streak, this has gotten pretty grisly. And they go to the Saints next week, so I don't know.
They can't close games. Like that's sort of what
they have
Bijan
Robinson.
Well, that's why it's confusing. They were confusing under Arthur Smith, and they're confusing now.
And Drake London, and they should end a pass rush for the first time in forever. So it's like when you have all these pieces, like for me anyway, and go find someone smarter that will tell you what the actual reality is. But when you have a team that has all these skilled players and they're talented and they are being productive and you still lose, I go to coaching. I say, so why is this team losing? Unless it's just bad luck.
Yeah,
I agree because like in this game, for example, like Caden Ellis had the stop on Bryce Young on the 4th down that he tried to convert. And then AJ Terrell, Bryce Young just slightly overthrowed a ball. I think it was on 4th down into the end zone. And he makes this acrobatic play to break it up. And I'm like, this team is spectacular. Like, it's full of really, really good players. And why are they never winning more than 7 games a year? It's just insane.
Hey, Justin, you really thought the Falcons were going to win this game.
Oh. You know what? I'll tell you what. At halftime, when they were up 21-10, I really thought they were going to win this game. Felt great about the lock. And then suddenly, I see the alert, and I'm like, Bryce Young is back in the game. And I'm like, okay, how do I feel about that? I feel fine about that.
Throwing for 500 yards.
And he just went nuclear in the second half and just ripped my heart out. And then, the Falcons tie it up, and it's going to overtime, and they get the ball first. And I'm like, all right, we're going to be fine.
Everything's fine.
Until
what could go wrong for the Atlanta Falcons? Everything's fine.
Until I saw Tommy Tremble rumbling down the field, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to lose. Screw me.
Well, Dan took immense pleasure in Justin losing that lock. That was a very snarky
I love when everyone loses
Justin
locks.
There.
By the way, at least you have the Longhorns, Justin. That's
That's
that
just rude. Now you're just being mean.
It's a banner weekend.
Hey, Nico Harrison gone.
Yes. And the Titans, still the only 1-win team. Let's go. Number 1 pick, baby.
See? There's a rainbow somewhere.
Up. We are looking up.
Do we want to hear from Raheem Morris, or are we done with Raheem?
It's pretty good. I mean,
all right. Let's listen to Raheem Morris after another loss.
Thinks he's going to lose his job.
We've lost a bunch of games in a row. In tight moments, and you got to find a way to win those games, man. Like,
here you go.
It definitely is on me. There's no such thing as a losing team. There's only a losing leader, and I'm the leader, and we lost.
Okay. Mark, this is where you say it doesn't matter if he gets fired because he's going to make millions of dollars to sit on his ass, which is not incorrect.
No, that is correct. He would live in a way that none of us will ever be able to live financially just for not doing a good job. So,
all right, let's head to. I was going to say Miami, but no, we're going to head to Madrid. Let's go to Spain for some reason. I don't know. You can tell we're at the stage of the international series. And by the way, Mark, give me the best 45th and 47th president here. We love the international audience.
Look, we love them very much. We love every country. Not everyone, but many of them. We love Spain.
Very good. Perfect. When you hit the very end of the international series, when Roger Goodell is like, for the 14th time in 8 weeks, is in some luxury suite somewhere in the world, sitting next to some boring guy that he's never met before, and he has to pretend like he wants to be there. It's like, all right, it's time to bring Roger home. Throw Roger in a duffel bag. I think he just wants to sit in his office for a little while in New York. Anyway, it is like, Rog's done with the international series. So are we until next year. It ends with a 16-13 overtime win for the Dolphins over the Commanders in Madrid. In all seriousness, if you were at the Madrid game, I hope you had a great time. This was a game that went back and forth, tight game. Both teams had great defensive stands in the fourth quarter that pushed it to overtime, Connor. But in the end, it was a unfortunate Marcus Mariota turnover that got Miami another W.
I mean, this is 2 in a row for the Dolphins following the Bills game, and then they have their bye, and then the Jets and Saints in some order coming off of that. And so
say it.
So here's what I will say. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just sort of talking to folks around the league, and while this isn't necessarily directly from the Dolphins, there is an optimism that maybe Mike is playing himself back into this gig. And I think that, they could very easily be 6-7. What are they, 4-7 now? If they beat the Saints and the Jets, and then they have the Steelers and the Bengals. The Steelers might not have Aaron Rodgers. The Bengals are kind of adrift at this point. So I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of in on this. Like I bumped them up in the power rankings to 20. Took a little heat for that, but now I'm ready. Like, all
right, that's
I'm
good, Connor.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I thought a similar thing after this game when they did find a way again We like Mike McDaniel. I still would be very surprised if he survives, but there's usually one team every season that appears to be underground, and then improbably at the end of December, they're still in the mix. Maybe in a weird AFC, it is Miami. Here is McDaniel after the game.
They've fought for, belief, and now they've been awarded real belief based on
the hell, Mike? What are you talking about?
So
cause and effect.
We'll be excited to play our next game. We need the time off. We definitely wish we could play. Our locker room probably want to play tomorrow, even though they're a little beat up. But we'll take the rest and get back to preparing our style of football so that we can continue to have products like this on Sunday.
What planet does this guy live on? That was
McGenius guy, whatever the hell he is, nerd boy.
That was a little strange, even by his standards, Mark.
They come out of the bye, and they've got the Saints and the Jets. So,
right, that's what Connor just said. It's
manageable, right? And I think the thing that matters is that, like, to that nerd boy riff that came from Rex Ryan, is that it seemed like Mike McDaniel was the kind of coach that we're like, well, this was cute, but he doesn't fit as the head of an NFL team. But I see a team that is, the players are engaged and playing their asses off for him. That's all I'd say. Like, that matters because we're at the time of year where stuff starts to drift into another atmosphere, and that's not what the Dolphins are at the moment.
I kind of feel like they'll end up losing one or both of those games. Maybe I didn't
Both.
see. I do. Like, I'm not buying in on this really. But they did win, and that's nice. But it could have easily gone the other way. I don't see this team as like they're finding themselves and developing like a level of cohesion, and they're going to make a run. But we're
not getting like whisper campaigns about the coach becoming the biggest part of the problem. That's all.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. I'm happy for McDaniel that this thing hasn't turned into total farce, but they already fired the GM. I don't think it's a great roster. I'm not buying in on the Dolphins, I guess I'm saying.
So two things. I think one thing is it's a good political move for a GM sometimes to inherit a coach who's well liked by the owner, which McDaniel still is, and then it buys that GM an extra year because then he'll get to fire the coach and then pick a guy and then extend his own tenure, kind of like Ryan Poles did. But the thing about McDaniel that I think I really like around this stretch is he's finally just taking the ball out of Tua's hands. Like, there were long stretches of this game where like he's just like, you're done. And he had 20 passing attempts in this game. HN had 21 carries for 120 yards and then 5 catches for 45 yards. It's just like, we're just going to hammer the run game and we're going to do all the cool Mike McDaniel stuff. And Tua, like, you're just going to sit there until we need you because we can't trust you to do anything else. And that's good. That's what he should have done a long time ago.
Yeah. I could buy this conversation that he might be able to save his job. And with that, the way you explain that too, that makes sense in terms of the politics of it. But I guess I'm going to need to see a little bit more beyond that. I've seen enough of Jonathan Vilma, by the way, over the years. You know my feelings on John Vilma.
Yes, we do.
Who seems like a good man and was a great linebacker in the NFL, including for my team for several years.
Jesus Christ.
But every game he says something or 6 things that I'm like, how does this guy stay in these booths? I don't understand it. This one was one of my favorites ever. This little interplay. Whenever you could say something that actually floors your partner to where he has to, like, in a stammer, try to like take the fire extinguisher out and put out the flame. It really tells you we're dealing with a different type of professional broadcaster. Listen in.
So if you were a linebacker going up against you on that play.
No, Kenny.
I mean,
hard no.
What would be going through your mind when you see that?
He's on drugs.
He's only kidding, folks.
I'm kidding.
He was his joke was that Tua was on drugs because he tried to juke out a pass rusher, and it wasn't a great attempt. I think it was a fake snap, that thing where the quarterback jumps up. And he said he's on drugs. And Kenny Albert,
he's on drugs.
Kenny Albert was freaking out immediately.
They've had a weird 7 or 8 days together as a duo.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being hard on him because, like, that's something we would say. Certainly something Mark would say. We make drug references multiple times every episode. It's just very unusual for it to come out of the booth. You know, it's just like it sticks out like a sore thumb. But maybe I need to change. Maybe I just need to change, Mark, my perspective and be like, maybe it's good that there's a guy that's like totally unpolished, no matter how many years and how many games he does.
Yeah, I'd say one thing that these booths sometimes are a little too buttoned up for my taste. But there's a certain approach to it all, and I think that he's done some quizzical things verbally over the years. So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. As far as the Commanders go, woof. Lost season.
Yeah.
For Washington. All right, let's take a break. Unless, Connor, do you have any Washington take to share there? Before, I don't want to totally short shrift them, but it just feels like a season that has drifted off, like out of off the horizon.
Wolf would cover it. I mean, Marcus Mariota had like a really strange kind of bad pick to set the Dolphins up for the game winner, and he's normally a pretty good, like just risk-averse player. I just think that a lot of things are going wrong for this team. It's kind of just a train sliding off the tracks at this point.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. It's time to talk a little Texans, Titans. Buckle up, baby.
Stress on little.
Yes, it was Davis Mills once again filling in for CJ Stroud, concussed, open parenthetical, close parenthetical. And what do you know? They're now 2-0 with Mills leading the way as the Texans survived a game Titans effort, and they get a late field goal as time expired, 35 yards to Matthew Wright, 16-13, sweeping the season series with their rivals from the AFC South. The Titans now 1-9 and still winless at Nissan Stadium. Justin, your thoughts on this ball game?
Perfect game. No notes. Great job, Titans. Got everything I wanted. Cam Ward leads a brilliant game-tying drive with less than 2 minutes to go. Has a beautiful 35-yard down-the-field shot under pressure, taking a hit as he throws it to Chigakonkwo to set up the touchdown pass that he threw. After
13 points.
After scampering for 20 yards, something that Titans fans have been wanting to see Cam Ward do more, make a play with your legs when it's not there. He did it, and they still lost the game, securing, well, for now, their position as the only one-win team and still in control of that number one overall pick. In all seriousness, Houston's defense, again, just continues to play lights out. Their offense, I think, took a step back today. Like, the Titans' defense has been really bad this season, and Houston had trouble converting on third downs. They were giving up pressure all game long to what has been a totally anemic pass rush that just traded their best pass rusher. Titans did get Jeffrey Simmons back, and he was effective. He had a sack lined up, actually, as an edge rusher, because, again, the Titans just have no edge players, so they're putting Jeffrey Simmons out there to get pressure, and he did get a sack on one play. I mean, Davis Mills was pretty up and down. He didn't have the same highs that he had last week in that comeback win, but he did enough, and he led the game-winning field goal drive with a bunch of nice throws to get them into position. There's a chance he plays again on Thursday night because the Texans have a short turnaround here. And if he does, like, I honestly don't think their offense is that different with Davis Mills compared to CJ Stroud.
You know who seems to really like playing with Davis Mills is their number one wide receiver. He had another big game today.
Yeah, Nico Collins continues to be that guy. He had a great touchdown in this game. And, I mean, he wasn't putting up numbers with CJ Stroud, so it's an interesting conundrum.
Any other thoughts on this one?
Nah, we don't have to talk about the 1-win Titans or the 5-5 Texans for that long.
All right.
No disrespect to Texans fans. I apologize.
Take that.
You guys swept us. Congrats.
It helps to get the Titans twice on your schedule before Thanksgiving. You know, that gives you a little bit of bubble room. All right.
Before they really get hot.
Exactly.
That being the Titans.
All right, well, let's not get too many laughs in, because now we're going to Cleveland.
Ooh.
You know, our boy Sessler was fired up in the chat again. And I said to him, Connor, I says to him, you hate the Ravens. You hate Lamar Jackson. That's okay. I want you to share that on the show. Be yourself. Be your true Browns fan. and let it out that you're mad that you had the Ravens boxed in a big spot and then let them off the hook and then got beat in the fourth quarter on a, of all things, fake tush push run by Mark Andrews, 35 yards to the house. The difference in a 23-16 win for the Ravens, who have, I know, Mark, you're very excited to acknowledge, have indeed come back to life from 1-5 and are now 5-5 and right in the mix in the North.
Well, it's the most predictable thing around. I have given up any semblance of hope around the fact that the league is literally involved in making this happen. There were a couple things that first of all, hey, Cleveland, how about this? Here's a note for you. Stop wasting the brilliant career of Myles Garrett, who was a dominant, absolute force today. It's just lost in the fog. And it's an embarrassment to continue to lose to the Ravens. And that particular Mark Andrews play was exactly what I would underline as what happens every time the Browns try to line up with the They played an awesome defensive game, and it was suddenly a wash and completely reduced to nothing. There was another moment when I got heated up, was, of all things, the Browns punt, and they down the ball very crystal clearly visually at the 1 yard line.
That was tough.
You're going to have Baltimore backed up against a Myles Garrett heated up figure and a defense that under Jim Schwartz is playing awesome. Like Schlesinger is just an absolute fun guy to watch. And it's like they had Baltimore's number. Instead, that ball down at the 1 yard line, I don't care what angle you tell me that you saw it from, that thing was down at the 1, and they call it a touchback. And it's like, obviously, in my world, the way that I think, like New York called to the back judge and said, the Ravens are making the playoffs at any cost. And suddenly, if you're a Browns fan, you're sitting at home hanging out with Lorena Bobbitt.
Yeah, a good reference. Good pop reference.
I've had enough because, and you know, I guess the other thing the biggest thing that happened in this game was that Dylan Gabriel, who is, I'm sure a nice young man, like not your future quarterback, goes out with a concussion, and in comes Shedeur Sanders, and the crowd goes literally crazy. Like, I think they've waited to see this, but the end result was unpleasant.
Yeah, they had a chance. Because I agree that ball should have been called. It was one of those things where they kind of blew the initial call because
right.
It looked to me that it was down and the player did not touch the goal line. But then once they didn't have a clear view of him not touching it, they couldn't overturn what was probably the wrong call. So that's just annoying. But you had Shedeur Sanders with the ball in his hands in Ravens territory in a 7-point game. You knew if Cleveland scored, they were going to go for 2 and try to win the game there. It was all there for him. But yeah, at least from what we saw in a small sample size, Sanders was a mess. 4 of 16, averaged less than 3 yards per attempt, threw an interception. But I think it's a good thing, Connor, you're getting a look at these guys for the same point, like why Titans fans are ready for them to get the first pick. Like, it's all about now just figuring out who's part of the future and who's not. So there's your first glance at the 5th round pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Browns knew what they were going to see, which is why they took many efforts to not put him on the field until this point, and then they got it. But my lingering curiosity from this game is the Mark Andrews touchdown, because I just don't care about Shedeur Sanders. I'm sorry. I really don't. And I'm sure ESPN will talk about him for 9.5 hours tomorrow. So
that's your right.
Watch that for more Shedeur content. But the Mark Andrews touchdown on the tush push, we've now, between them and the Eagles and 3 or 4 other teams, have had 12 really amazing fakes off of the tush push, and we are one evolution closer to the NFL going back to flex bone or triple option, because you can run this as your base offense now. There are teams throwing out of the tush push, there are teams doing jet sweep handoffs and running out of the tush push. This is going to be a base offense in 2 years. Mark my words. It's gonna be crazy.
It was cool. It wouldn't be cool if you're a Browns fan, but it was cool to see the play turned on its head like that. 3 things. 1, Lamar Jackson. The Ravens win on a day where Lamar goes 14 of 25, no touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, runs the ball 4 times for 10 yards. To your point, Mark, I mean, it's that is awesome. The Browns get a defensive score in this game. They totally shut down Lamar, and yet they can't find a way, because that just seems how it always goes with the Ravens and Browns. And finally, Myles Garrett. Come on, just trade for 2 first-round picks. Get 2 first-round picks for this guy. Send him on his way and really accelerate this rebuild.
It's untenable to some degree in terms of the financials around it, unless there was something that they can work out. Like, it's a pretty tough trade to pull off, but
yeah.
I'm with you in the sense that, like, I'm at the set him free. Like, I will say one thing, man. I wanted them to trade him in the offseason, but just watching him today, it's like they'll never have a player of this nature ever again on defense in my lifetime.
What do you got, 4 today?
I'd have to confirm that, but it was like he's had 12 plus sacks in 6 straight seasons. No other player in NFL history has done that. Like, he's the equal of Lawrence Taylor in my book. They're different, but he is the equal of Lawrence Taylor to me.
I mean, different positions, but like, yeah, he had 4 sacks. He is one of the most skilled, pure pass rushers who has ever played the game. And you just wonder if they can get a team around him before he gets old. He's 29. He's actually turning 30 next month. So It's like, he's got, I think this is accurate, he's got 15 sacks. So he's got a chance to go after the sack record here on a Browns team that is obviously going nowhere. And if you're wondering who Lorena Bobbitt is, look it up.
Spend some time and look it up.
I'm not even going to explain what it is, but she is a notable pop culture figure of the early 1990s for a salacious crime that she was involved in.
That's right.
Let's move on. Crazy story, man. All right, up next. Let's head to Arizona, to the desert. We're checking all the boxes. Now Zumwalt's team. Man, we like some bad teams.
Yeah.
The Niners getting healthy. Brock Purdy's back. Plays great. George Kittle's healthy. Kicking ass. 2 touchdowns in this game. He didn't show up in the box score, but Ricky Pearsall even back in action. And Christian McCaffrey continues to score multiple touchdowns every week. 49ers overwhelm the Cardinals 41-22. And good for them, because they've really struggled, obviously, in terms of in the health department. So to see them in a game like this have many of their players, and they still don't have all their players. Obviously, we're now getting close to December without a Brandon Ayuk sighting on this roster. But to see the way they played in this game, it's like, okay, we believe, or I believe, that the Rams and the Seahawks are maybe a step ahead of the Niners. But the Niners, when things are clicking, are absolutely a team that should be taken seriously in the NFC and can get hot and find their way. So obviously beating the Cardinals is never something to celebrate as some great victory to put too much thought into. But just seeing the team, Connor, at full with their quarterback leading the way, as good as Mac Jones was filling in for Purdy. Purdy is a better player. He operates at a higher level, and it was fun watching them dismantle the Arizona Cardinals today.
The band looked tighter, there's no doubt. And while your point is correct that I think that you're much more worried about those top 2 teams in the NFC, this team, as presently constructed, will ruin someone's playoffs in the first round as a deep wild card. I think they just will. No one wants to go up against Kyle Shanahan. And, for better or for worse, I mean, I think they'll make some noise, but that's good. I mean, this is a great season in totality for San Francisco. And with Arizona, I think that they're just kind of edging ever closer to that. Like, are we going to do a full rebuild? Are we going to do a part rebuild? Are we going to keep the coach? Probably not going to keep the coach. So yeah, I think that's where it's headed at this point.
Yeah, like talk about 2 different organizations right now. Like the Cardinals suddenly, where I think 3 months ago this wasn't the case, or you weren't thinking this way, face a string of huge decisions. And it's like, this team has fallen apart, and it is a huge contrast to the Niners and what Shanahan, with a flood more injuries than the Cardinals have had, in terms of star players and what Shanahan's accomplished minus those guys. I thought it was a huge day for Brock Purdy to quiet down whatever would have been the discourse had they ever been nipped in a close game or he had not played well. It's like, I like when players just come and shut down what we would have to talk about all week. He just ended it.
He did. He played very well in this game. On the Cardinals side, I think they have to make big transactions. I feel like the decisions should be easy to make. I think the coach has got to go. The coach stinks. He hasn't done anything there the whole time he's been there. They committed 17 penalties.
That's a
in this
team
game.
record.
Dope as hell.
That's a team record. This is a team that is not disciplined, that doesn't know how to close out games, that doesn't seem to be internally a very tight operation. I want to give a shout out to Michael Wilson with Marvin Harrison sidelined. He goes off for 185 receiving yards. So there's a piece there. Trey McBride continues to dominate. Had another 100 yards and a touchdown in this game. He's quietly having one of the better tight end seasons of anyone, if not the best. And but it's a bad team that needs to be blown up, and let's see if they do it. And the Niners up next for the Niners, Monday Night Football against the Panthers. So that will be kind of a fun watch. You never know what you're going to get from that Panthers team, but yes, good stuff. All right, let's keep. Oh, Mark, good job, buddy. That's a nice lock. You not lock the Niners.
I went the entire day and didn't even realize that I did that until you just mentioned that.
Nice. I feel like there's like a lot of pockets of memories that aren't quite locked in right now. But you did. I don't really remember you locking the Niners either, but it sounds.
Well, I was just
like
so simply zoned
in
on my work duties that I wasn't thinking about, parlor games and side hustles.
You're a pro. You're a pro. Yes, Justin.
I vividly remember Mark locking the Niners because I was going to, and then I decided to call an audible and lock the Falcons instead because I don't want to be anybody's lock, bro. I just don't want to do it.
Under the category of inner monologue would have been better for this show than hearing about all that. But
let's move on to Pittsburgh. He's a real thing. Sounds like the Rush song.
Tom
Sawyer. Yeah. Start this one over.
Mean guy.
Yeah.
Modern day warrior.
Oh, you know the lyrics, Justin. You know the lyrics to all the songs. Ready? Take it. 3, 2, go.
Right there, or where?
Oh. You don't know the words to this one either.
Modern day warrior. I just said it. Those are the first 3 words.
What are the next 3?
mean.
Forget it.
Sign. Today's Tom Sawyer.
You said you know all the words to every song.
I didn't say every song. That would be a ridiculous thing to claim.
You said I know all classic rock.
I said I know a lot of classic rock.
Didn't you say over 14,000 songs?
I said 1,000 out of millions and millions of songs that exist. 0.01% of all songs.
14,000, he said.
One being the alphabet.
The bad news.
A lot of them are Christmas carols.
Jeez. Talk about lowering the bar.
That was a joke.
I know Jingle Bells.
That was a joke.
Oh, nailed it. All right, here we go. The bad news. Aaron Rodgers got hurt on Sunday, and it might be a broken wrist on his non-throwing arm. Is it hand or arm? I don't know. The good news, Mason Rudolph guided the team to 2 long scoring drives after replacing Rodgers, and the Steelers ease past the Bengals 34-12, staying on top in the AFC North in a game that, in addition to finishing it without Aaron Rodgers, it finished without Jalen Ramsey, who said that Jamar Chase spit on him, which caused Ramsey to take a swing at the superstar wide receiver. Ugly business, but a win for the Steelers, and a much-needed win, because if they would have found a way to blow this one, the Ravens would be tied with them atop the AFC North. And yet, the Steelers hold on. Now, we'll find out what's going on with Rodgers. There was a report from Schefter, as I said, that they believe it might be a break in the wrist, and if that is indeed the case, you would expect them to potentially miss time. So we'll have an update on that. But the other part of this one is Connor, like we were trying to think about it. We were talking about Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow's like, I'll be back on Thanksgiving. Just keep it going. Just keep it going. Like there was another guy who did that. It was Aaron Rodgers. It was Aaron Rodgers on the 2023 New York Jets who had the Achilles tear, and he had that ridiculous journey to return by December if the Jets could hang in the race. The Jets thankfully fell out of the race because Rodgers probably would have re-injured himself, and he never came back. I don't know what happens with Joe Burrow if a similar situation, but the Bengals have now given up 27 plus points in 9 straight games. That ties the Super Bowl era record set by the 2020 Chargers. And it's just a bad team. So credit Pittsburgh. Classic take care of business game, but at a cost because it looks like they lose Rodgers potentially for multiple weeks.
Woof. I mean, this is no one wants to win this division. It's like,
to the Ravens' credit, they seem like they're ready to do it. And
now,
the Steelers, and the Steelers did take care of business. They stomped on a Bengals team that you thought maybe would put up a better fight. But yeah, it seems like if I had to pick a division that like 9-8 could get it done, it could be the North. It could be.
Do you think he retires like this again? Because now it sort of reopen the scenario where he could go to Minnesota where he wanted to the whole time and almost finish his career the way that he wanted to, or like because I feel like he's searching for something. And is this the way he walks away with like a broken non-throwing wrist in week 11?
Well, I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know if it might be like a slight fracture or something, like where he only misses a game or so. We don't know yet, but I don't know. Like this has been the other part of the Rodgers concern was because of his age. Is he going to be able to make it through a season? And we're going to see. I mean, he's been able to keep the offense stable, but he's not a difference maker at this point. But yeah, it's just something. It is something to keep an eye on, and I feel like I see entirely too much Mason Rudolph in my life every year. It's like without fail, we're going to get multiple Mason Rudolph starts, and it looks like it's going to happen yet again.
Rudolph's grown that mustache. He sort of looks like a cinema villain. If you look at Pittsburgh's schedule, because obviously they're in a race just to stay one game above the Ravens until one of these two teams tops out with 9 wins, but they play the Ravens twice, but the Steelers also have Detroit, Buffalo, and some other nasty elements there. Like, I don't know if they can get this done without Rodgers, but although with him, I don't find them to be that powerful either. I think, Connor, you asked a good question. Like, do we ever see him again? I don't think he's going to Minnesota. The Minnesota Vikings.
Let's put a pin in that because we just don't know anything about it yet. But
we don't know. But yeah,
we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. And some of the Flacco magic didn't exist in this game. 23 of 38, less than 200 yards passing. This was his worst game since joining the Bengals, and it didn't help. Obviously, that couldn't get it going with Jamar Chase, and then Jamar Chase got himself thrown out of the game. I don't know. Could Chase get suspended for that?
I think it depends what comes out of this, but yes, right?
He should be, because the league backed into with Jalen Carter the fact that because Jalen Carter did it before the game and then got suspended for the game, that's time served. But now they've established the precedent where a spit is a 1-game suspension. So theoretically, Jamar Chase should not be allowed to play against the Patriots next week. We'll see if the NFL has a backbone and sticks to it, because you know that they want to bill that as like, oh, this is their last chance, whatever.
Correct.
Big comeback game. Without Jamar Chase, that team is just dead on arrival in that one.
I was going to say, you've just made a lot of fantasy owners very nervous about what their Week 12 might look like without their first round pick. All right, so the Steelers hold their breath on their quarterback, and they get a win to stay ahead. The Browns could have really done the Steelers a favor. So maybe that's one way to look at it positively, Mark, that while you didn't get to beat the Ravens, who you hate, it doesn't help the Steelers, who you also dislike.
I mean, the Browns do the Steelers a favor most of the times they meet each other in person. So
yeah. Schefter does report it is now, quote, shaping up to be Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph versus the Bears next week. So, hey, man, everything keeps coming up Chicago Bears, too, as we see. All right, let's head one more game to Jacksonville. The game that we were told was the most consequential game of the week in terms of playoff ramifications. Did you know that, Connor?
I heard that someone said that based on math
Aaron
that we'll never
Schatz.
see. Based on math that we'll never see the data points for how he calculated or put it together or anything. Yeah, it's fine. I'm just saying, like,
Gravy jumped in with the credit on that one real quick.
There are so many of these things now, and it's almost like AI where we're just taking this shit verbatim. Like, I could legitimately go and tweet right now, like, well, Jared Goff is 47% completion percentage between 50 degrees and 58 degrees, and that means that on this next drive, and no one would fucking check it. And so math scares people. I'm just saying, let's challenge this shit a little bit. Where you getting your numbers from, Shats?
This rant is a little more funny, Mark, when this music is underneath, Connor.
It is, and that is a friend of the show, so we'll leave it right there. But
love Aaron.
All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they bounced back. They had one of their worst collapses in the history of the franchise against the Texans in Week 10. So what do? Football doesn't make any sense. They turn around and beat the shit out of the Chargers, 35-6. Getting rushing touchdowns from Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, Bashul Tootin.
That was pretty close. Bashal Tootin.
Bashal Tootin. And they never even punt in this game. I mean, make it make sense. I know it's not going to make sense to you, Connor, because you locked the Chargers. Holy shit. Justin, how did this game get away? Connor, I want that to build up in you like a volcano. I'll give you your words in a moment. But Justin, while that volcano continues to build, can you explain to us how this game got away so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, no, but yes. Like, the Jags just put good drives together, and the Chargers just kept going 3 and out until it snowballed out of control, and the Jags ran the ball down the throats of the Chargers. They had, hang on, I got to pull this up because it is a truly eye-popping number. Not just the total rushing yards, 47 carries. When was the last time you even saw a game where one team ran the ball 47 times for 192 yards? Like, that was
totes.
That was why they were able to dominate. But also the Jags defense, the tandem of Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker put these backup Chargers tackles in absolute hell. They pressured Justin Herbert on 50% of his dropbacks, which was a season high for Jacksonville. And Trey Lance was in this game with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like, it was just no contest.
Had this score gone in the other, if you flipped it, I wouldn't have been surprised.
I would have bought it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, like this raises concerns because I think that the Chargers' whole concept when they had those tackles was like, we want to control how a game looks, and we're going to do it our way, and we're going to bludgeon you. And to see that they were just dominated on both sides of the ball that way, it kind of opens the door to, like, what is this team? It was a big bounce back win for the Jaguars.
How about this? I'll throw this to you, Connor. I'll set you up this way because nobody likes to get beat on a lock like this. But sometimes, no matter pretty much any team, there's a bury the ball game where just everything goes poorly. And it's just like, this was a bad trip to Duval. Just like many, many millions of other people have had bad trips to Duval County. This was their bad trip to Duval County, and they are on a plane out of there and just forget about it. And you could forget about the lock, and everybody can move on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like 3 games ahead of all of you, so this is just like, yeah. I mean,
calm down, pipe down. It's not 3.
Personal quick.
It's either 2 or 1, but go on.
It's. I think it's closer to 3. And the second part of this
closer
is
to 3. What does that even mean? Closer to 3?
Second part of this is I had Seahawks, and then my other 2 games went to overtime. So don't with my shit in the Patreon awards for this week either, because
don't hit out.
Guaranteed win.
And that's a totally different competition. That's totally different.
They are, but they aren't, because I can already feel, this groundswell of like, we knocked me off after 2 straight victories in the Patreon, and now we're trying to knock me out of the lock-off standings. Like, I can feel all this coming.
Well, you positioned yourself, and Mark, let me know if you agree, as the heavy in the competition, the guy that everyone loves to beat. And it's just like,
True.
You got to let us. We're going to stomp on your grave a little bit and a big spot here on this Sunday night to cap the
Connor,
show.
this got personal very quick. I didn't hang this over your head. But right, punching out, kicking out, biting.
Right. You bury the
scratching.
ball, Connor. How about that? You go in your spacious backyard that's probably 40 times bigger than mine in New Jersey with all your trees and your turf, and you dig something up and you throw a football in there and you forget about it.
I'll bury someone's balls.
Oh,
oh, and I'm looking at him.
All right, here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna let Mark choose one crazy person to hear from on this game. Either the Jaguars coach Liam Cohen or the Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh. One crazy.
I'm going to go Harbaugh.
All right, crazy Harbaugh.
We just weren't doing anything well. Offensively, we weren't running the ball well. We weren't protecting. We weren't getting open. And defensively, same. We weren't stopping the run. We were loose in coverage. Go through every phase, and we got beat every which way you could get beat.
It's a tough day.
When you fly home, that's a long flight. But do you have to pretend like you're sad, even if you are kind of over it on the plane itself?
You have to do what Shador did after the Browns game, which is to sit on the bench and performatively act so upset that everyone around you is certain you're upset. Yes, there is I think there is a little bit of play acting that goes with that.
Okay.
All right.
One last thing just to button up this game. Firstly, the Jags, 30 first downs, Chargers 8. That sums it up pretty well. Second thing, this is the biggest lopsided score I've ever seen in which the winning quarterback played terrible. Trevor Lawrence was terrible in this game, and it didn't matter because they could run the ball so well. But the 6-4 Jags with Lawrence as captain of the ship.
This is classic Graver, AFC South. I'm just gonna hate on anybody. They didn't punt, Justin.
He was not. He threw a really bad interception, and they didn't punt because on 4th and something short from midfield, he overthrows a receiver by 12 yards. It wasn't even close to his target. So those are turnovers.
35-6, Justin. This is how you want to put a bow on this game?
Well,
by telling us how bad Trevor Lawrence was?
There's a fakeness to this to watch out for down the stretch of the season.
I do see it, Mark. I'll see fans of AFC South teams get mad at our producer because he always does this.
It's just what happened.
He always buries whenever the AFC South team that's not the Titans wins, is always a spin like this.
That's not true. I've talked very highly about the Colts this year.
You have. In a pick your spots kind of way, I just buried the Ravens out of just spite and 25 plus years of irritation. But both of us could be more professional, Justin. You and I both.
Josh Hines Allen,
work on that together.
New franchise leader in sacks for the Jags. There you go. Positive button.
Okay. All right, good. A positive week 11. We loved this week 11. We had a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back on Monday night. It is Monday Night Football. What is it? The Cowboys and Raiders? What?
Yes.
All right. So hey, we're going to cover that game. And then also Mark and I are going to hit the power rankings, which are going to be very interesting after this crazy fun week. And hopefully we are off Farbuck's radar for yet another week. Thank you to everyone for your support, and continue to heed the call.
$250 years ago, the United States Postal Service made a promise to bind the nation, connecting families, friends, and businesses near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. Because it's about more than just gifts and cards, it's the peace of mind knowing your love will arrive reliably and affordably. That's why they're building a better network to meet your needs this season. Working around the clock to ensure timely deliveries, offering easy and affordable ways to ship, and providing everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer, from stamps to packages. This holiday season, trust the United States Postal Service to carry your most precious deliveries. Visit USPS.com/holidays to find tools and tips to help you ship with confidence. The United States Postal Service. delivering since 1775.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than Saquon Barkley, the NFL's reigning leading rusher, I'm also the NFL's leading husher. Shh, hush up back there. Wow, I might have just set the hushing record. Well, almost. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.